Hey guys, it's BlockchainBrad, and today I'm very excited to talk to none other than Robin Zhong, and he is the co-founder of Nebulas, which is a very exciting blockchain that many people would know about. So Robin, thank you so much for your time today.
Hi, Brad. Yeah, it's my honor to be interviewed by you. As you know, Nebulas is a public blockchain, and there are a lot of community pay much more attention on us. And also, the blockchain is coming from community. So that's why I'm here. I want to share our vision, our mission, our thinking about Nebulas to others, to you. We want to, through this channel, to make lot of people get to know about Nebulas. So really, it's my honor to meet you.
Oh, honestly, it's an honor to meet you. You're very difficult to speak with, and I appreciate you're very busy. And Nebulas is a really robust, really exciting project right now. There's so much happening in many parts of many offices that you've established. So once again, on behalf of all of us, we're so excited to hear what you have to say as the technical expert. And that is the focus for everybody. If you're wondering why we are talking to Robin today, we're going to be focusing on the technical components. And to explore that a bit further, I wanted to mention some of the credentials of Robin as well. Robin has a huge, a lot of experience. He has been a former architect of Ant Financial, blockchain platform experience, former senior director at a very important company called Dolphin browser, leader of some other important things like Game Vision, and graduated from a prestigious university in China as well. So, Robin, you are very, very well experienced in what you do. But let's talk about the main reason we're here, and that is the technicalities associated with Nebulas. We can easily talk about what's prominent in the main white paper, and that is this idea that you are somehow just a search engine. We know that's not true, and that's why I want to unpack this. So what are the 5 key ideologies that do represent Nebulas? Just briefly, in a nutshell.
Yeah, so Nebulas is not only a Google for blockchain. We bring 2 ideas about that. The one is Nebulas rank. We believe there is a lot of value behind all the transaction, all the data. So we want to use the Nebulas rank algorithm to find them. And the second is about self-involvement. As you guys know, blockchain is really, really faster than any other industry. So from that point, we believe blockchain is not a technology. It's also an economy and an organism. So we want to bring those self-involving functionality to the blockchain system. So that's why we created the technology named the Nebulas Force. We want to use that technology to help blockchain and Nebulas goes faster and stronger.
Okay, so that's one ideology, and you have 5 of them, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, thank you.
Because I think it's important to really unpack this, because if you do not spend a lot of time in the white papers, Robin, many people will just presume that you are just, the Google search engine equivalent. And it's important that we do explore that, because there's so many more parts to you. Many facets to the diamond that is Nebulas. So what's the second one? Well, I can help you out. It's Nebulas Force, as you were talking about. You talked about Nebulas rank. What about the DIP?
DIP, yeah. Let me how to say that. Yeah, in blockchain system, there's a big difference between the blockchain and the other system. In blockchain, all the code are open sourced. The system is opened. So that means good guy or bad guy can also find out the bugs in that security issue. So to keep the data consistent. So to do that, Bitcoin create a very creative way about the money. Yeah, reward to protect the network, make the data consistent. So in our perspective view, we think incentives are very important, not only for the engineering team, but also for whole the community. We want to use DIP, Developer Incentive Protocol, to incentive the developers and the users to write more and more useful, creative, decentralized applications to bring their ideas to the world. Yeah.
And that'll help you also build out. Your ecosystem will also build out because of the DIP as well.
Yeah.
So what about the other 2 features that are important in the construct of 5, and that's your proof of devotion, your consensus algorithm, very important complex component. And then finally, as we were talking about, and importantly, lastly, for this order, is the search engine. We don't want to talk about that first because it gets a lot of press.
About the POD, we always know that the consensus is very important to be in blockchain system, yeah, very important. It's a kernel space. So we are reviewing all the consensus algorithm is a existing system, the POW, POS, DPoS, something like that. But eventually we find out we need to incentive the guys who are doing good job for the block keeper. And also we should use economical way to prevent the bad guys to hurt the system. So that's why we are create our own algorithm, POD. We want to incentive the good guy and punish the bad guys.
It's awesome. And just to clarify as well, Robin, this proof of devotion, the POD, that's your unique construct, isn't it? That's your unique consensus algorithm design. That's not come from outside of Nebulas. That's something that you've created. Is that correct?
Frankly speaking, the POD we learned a lot. We learned a lot of knowledge from other consensus algorithm, especially the Casper created by the Vitalik. Yeah. So in the Casper protocol, we found out there's a good part, and also we think there's a much more we can do to improve that. So that's why we are create our own consensus algorithm POD. We using our Nebulas rank to filter the bad guys at the beginning, and then we enforce the punishment part. Yeah, to make that consensus algorithm to be stronger. So in blockchain, yeah, as I said before, in blockchain, all the knowledge, all the data should be open to the world. So what I mean is we can share our experience to the others, and also we can adopt the other blockchain's good part to introduce to our Nebula system that's open. We want to do that.
Awesome. And what's exciting as well is that you do have so many parts to it, and we're unpacking them. We're going to get to the one that everyone knows about now, which is the search engine. And we're going to unpack these one by one after this. So if anyone's wondering why we're rushing through, we're not. We're going to explore them. But just give us a bit of a rundown on the search engine component. You know a lot about it, obviously. So
yeah, about the search engine. We believe that the blockchain system will be growing faster, and more and more people will dive into this new technology, new world. So according to that beginning, so there has a lot of data, and the data should be spread to the blockchain system. And we want to help user to find out those data, those information data. So that's why we think search engine is very important in the blockchain system, just like Google in current internet system. So we think we want to use our Nebulas rank to rank all the data and help user to find out those data, those decentralized applications. Right. So that's for the search engine part.
That's exciting. And also, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. Also, we think search engine for Nebulas, just not only for Nebulas. We want to provide. We want to do first in Nebulas. We prove the search engine functionality and the concept. And second, we want to spread this new technology, new search engine technology to the rest of other blockchain system. For example, the Ethereum, for example, the Bitcoin. We want to share our experience and technology.
Okay. So when you say share, do you mean in the sense of interoperability as well and interconnect in that respect? Or let's get clear on what you mean by share.
Yeah, so there are two kinds of share. The one is about the interoperation. Yeah, so that means Nebulas can rank all the data besides the Nebulas. For example, Ethereum, Bitcoin, or other blockchain. That's one part. The second part is about to share our technology to the Ethereum. For example, we will submit our proposal to the Ethereum Nebula EIP to suggest them how to integrate the search engine functionality to the Ethereum. We want to do that, and definitely we will do that. We want to make sure the blockchain will grow faster and faster. That's what we believe.
That's interesting. That's something I haven't heard of before, and actually consulting another blockchain's architecture and trying to inject your own components. That's really fascinating. So let's go into the guts of each of the points now. Let's go now to the first one of Nebulas rank. There's so much involved in that. Let's focus on one of the key features, and that's the quality of it itself. You want to establish a trustful, computable, and deterministic measurement approach. And let's talk about why. Why do you want to do it that way? Thinking of those
So,
keywords. So trustful,
mm,
computable, deterministic. That's
yeah,
they're three
yeah.
buzzwords that come out of the white paper in relation to the Nebulas rank. So let's talk about that in terms of its quality, its focus, because essentially you want to use that to try and have much more democratic. You want to have a democratic approach where you can have better quality dApps. That's the big thing that comes out of the white paper, is that by doing the Nebulas rank, it's the quality of them that matters. So let's talk about in the sense of the importance of trustful, computable, and deterministic.
Okay, okay. So in blockchain, I think in blockchain, the biggest difference than other technology is about the fair, about the fair. In blockchain, they just provide our proofed environment to keep to prove all of us have a fair environment to do something.
Right.
So in this context, we think trust is the first. Yeah, we should trust all the data in the blockchain. We should trust the algorithm is fair to everyone, to any of us. Yeah, so that's the first one about the trust.
Okay.
And the second is about the verification of the algorithm. Yeah. So in the blockchain system, we should keep the data consistent, and also we should keep the ranking result, the score should be consistent too. So that means we should open source our algorithm and make sure the result of the computation are also consistent. That's very important part for the second.
Okay.
Yeah, for the second, yeah. And for the last one is about the store. Yeah, right? For the data store.
Exactly.
Yeah, we think this is our decentralized world. We shouldn't put our data in our centralized server or maybe something like that. So we definitely need to distribute our data to make the data can't be managed, can't be controlled by just one man or one team. We should decentralize it. So that's why we bring the idea about the decentralized data. We definitely need that to keep this system safe and consistent, to be provide a fully fair environment to all the people.
That's interesting. And let's pull it back again to the word rank itself. I mean, you don't see many blockchains really going into detail about rank. Why is rank so imperative, and why can it be beneficial for enterprise, or particularly enterprise? Where is the monetary benefit in having a ranking system?
Yeah, ranking system, for the ranking system, it's about for the Nebulas rank, it's about the ranking, right? Yeah, the Nebulas rank algorithm. But for the ranking, it's about the fair. For the ranking itself, it's about the fair. How we determine who has the higher ranking and who has lower ranking.
Right.
So in Nebulas, we think at first, this guy who has a higher value should definitely do their contribution to the Nebulas community, not only for the Nebulas codes, but also for the community, for the whole environment, for the whole ecosystem. So this first thing we are thinking about this ranking is about the value they are contribute to the world. For example, we think in a blockchain world, there has no much difference than the social network.
Exactly.
And you are the first one in the Facebook. Second, you were invited all your friends to come into to Facebook. So we want to encourage that behavior too. We want the user, whoever knows about the Nebulas, they just dive in Nebulas and they can use their own knowledge, their own vision, maybe something like that, to encourage it, and others to jump in, to dive into blockchains, to dive into Nebulas. So that's the second attribution. The third one is about the interoperation. So we want to encourage that behavior to make users or developers what they can do, and they can contribute to the Nebulas, and we will give them a reward.
Yes,
yeah.
and I think, Robin, that's the big point I wanted to try and use the analogies of the social networks, because it's something that's familiar to everybody. And you talked about key things, the reward. Obviously, early entry is really valuable as well, because if someone's involved in the system early, they can have a significant position, but it doesn't mean that people who don't utilize Nebulas later, because it's ranked. It's not based on solely if you are early, but it's about if you have good content, if you are recognized in the system as having value. Is that fair to say in the way that the ranking system works?
Uh, I think at the beginning for the Labs rank is about the contribution. It's about the contribution. How much contribution you are doing to the Nebulas, to the blockchains. So that's the first principle we want to encourage in contribution. Whatever you can bring more people to join this Nebulas community, or you can just submit your ideas about smart contract, maybe small service to you, or maybe you can just provide more liquidity to the others. So yeah, that's about the contribution. And in the future, the Nebulas rank definitely will have very multiple variation. Yeah, for example, for the content quality, yeah, for the transaction quality, for the smart contract, maybe something like that. So Nebulas rank right now is just the beginning. Yeah, we just encourage who is doing our contribution to our ecosystem.
It's fascinating
so
because
that's the first
there's nuances and flavors of many different companies we hear of in the mainstream centralized systems. I'm hearing sounds of YouTube. I'm hearing bits of Google. I mean, the constructs and the concepts are there for the existing frameworks, but you're going to do it in a blockchain way. And that requires an immense amount of knowledge of, very innovative technology. So that's probably why you are so busy and why you're not getting much sleep, is because it's very difficult to do this and you're leading the way. So that's exciting to hear about, Robin. Let's go in a little bit deeper now. Let's talk about your Nebulas Force.
Okay.
So some of the key points here I've written down is to talk about the upgrading component, because that's a very important part, because that's quite revolutionary in that often the current systems are static, and you are able to upgrade that with your smart contracts, with your protocols. So let's talk about that. How do you do it?
Yeah. So I think I have a theory. I have a theory. To be a human, you cannot meet. You definitely will make a mistake. You definitely will mistake because we are human. We are not a machine. Yeah, machine can execute one by one. There's no mistake. But for us, for human, we definitely will have mistake. So for the smart contract, right now we are human write smart contract. So maybe there's still have mistake, have big bugs on that. Yeah. So that's why we are saying upgradability for blockchain is very important. But also it's very dangerous. As you know, you maybe at this morning I write a smart contract to provide a bunch of service to other, and afternoon I change the protocol, I change the service, or maybe that's very important. So right now we are using the Nebulas Force to provide such functionality in the lower level. We want to provide functionality to make blockchain has self-involving facility you can fix by the protocol. Yeah, but frankly speaking, for the really massive adoption about the upgradability is our challenge, not in the technical way, but in the community about the human.
Why? Can you tell us why? Why is that? Why is it such a challenge?
Yeah, the challenge is about the human in our untrusted environment. How can we make sure the developer won't change the protocol in future? Or maybe, for example, I write out some ERC20 token and we are issued just 1 million tokens. And in the next few days, I upgrade the code and I just issue 10 times. Yeah, just to
and that's actually happened. Some blockchains have actually done things like that. So
that's a
good premise.
Yeah, so in our mind, the upgradability at the technical level is good, but in the really environment is quite complicated.
Okay.
So that's why we are talking about the protocol code is the core part of the Nebulas. We are use that in that way, since the core part is about the core Nebulas protocol. So with our team and our community, we can prove that the protocol is on the right way. We won't hurt our community. Yeah, but for the smart contract, I think we need to do some more thinking about that. How to really use that.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that's a really good.
That's about it.
I think that's a really good point, and we've talked about components of the incentive system. We don't need to go into that with the DOP much more, but let's unpack some components of what we would argue is a healthy and robust ecosystem, because that's what you're trying to establish. And three of the buzzwords for that are speed, irreversibility, and fairness. If we can just talk a bit more about those three, because they are really important for making sure that you have a really robust system.
Yeah. Yes. So have a robust system. For the robust system, I think the first is about his design. Yeah, we should design all the architecture, all the component in a safer way. Yeah, so that brings the fundamental thing is about the robust. So that's the first. Yeah, and second is about the protocol. The protocol will make sure what we can do as a developer team and what the others can do as a developer community. Yeah, what's our capability scope? Define the scope of our capability. Yeah, we want to use that protocol to do that. So in Nebulas, we bring some DIP, the protocol developer incentive protocol to this world. We want to use that incentive mechanism to encourage more and more users and the developers to jump into this community and to do their own, to create their features, to bring their new features to this, to bring a lot of new decentralized apps. We want to use that way. Yeah, but for us, we are just the developer of the Nebulas. So we are just the main purpose, and we are focusing on the stability and the security. So that's the second thing. The third is about the community. We want to encourage a whole community to do that, to help us find bugs, to help us find more useful information about that.
So to do that, are you considering having some sort of foundation or some sort of group of people who are involved in sort of development support?
Yeah, definitely. Okay. Yeah, definitely. And by the way, there is some developer at Slack. They just send us a request. He want to write a Nebulas native client for us.
Wow.
And they are doing that. They are doing that, and he just sent his GitHub link to us, named the Nebulas client.
Wow, yeah, it's funny you're saying that, Robin, because in Neo there was a man named Fabio Kennison. Many people would know him. He did the same thing. He started off from very humble beginnings, and now look at him. He's leading the city of Zion. So little things like this, from them, big things grow. So this could be a really exciting venture for this person. If we want to go across now to the technical aspects of the problems that Nebulas is trying to redress. Obviously, you're trying to establish something that you want to have some sort of universal measurement, some sort of universal measurement of value for the blockchain, especially with things like smart contracts. So in that respect, let's talk about the context of value and the lack of that in the system now, and what you stand for when you do say you want to represent a universal value system.
Okay, about the universal value system. So we want to use our Nebulas rank as our pivot, as our pioneer to find, just at the beginning, find one or two values, and then we can use that framework, use that functionality to encourage other guys, other developer, other user find out more. So that's what we call the universal value dimension.
Okay.
Yeah, we want to use that way to lead the other community members to find out more and more value, not only just now.
That's fascinating because, when you read the technical white paper, there's so much involved. But if you simplify it down, what I'm hearing from you a lot is you're trying to engage community. You're trying to make sure that it's fair. You're trying to make sure that it's robust. You're trying to make sure that, again, you're building into other blockchains. You're also trying to do that in a way where you're actualizing ideologies so they become realities. 5 fundamental ones. Incorporating them, continuing on, let's talk about a key component, and that's the self-evolution aspect. What does that what does that mean, and how does that relate to Nebulas?
Okay, so you are talking about the self-involvement, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Self-involvement is funny. So the self-involvement functionality is from the existing biological world. As you know, we have DNA. Yeah, so we are different. Since of the DNA's change. So that makes the human world to be perfect. To be maybe there's a mistake. So that makes human world is not perfect. No. We all have it's not perfect. We all have some flaws. Something missing. yeah, for us. So, but it brings on another opportunity of change itself. So
Right.
make the human become a huge world, huge community in this planet. So in that beginning, we want to adopt such functionality mechanism to the blockchain. Yeah, for example, Brad, maybe you have some idea about the integration of the zero knowledge proof. Yeah,
Right.
you can do that. You can create a subchain in Nebulas by using the self-involving functionality, and you write your own protocol, and you adopt all the features to your subchain, and then boom, you can get your own chain, but
Okay.
running in all the Nebulas ecosystem. Yeah,
Okay,
just like
so
that.
it enables me as a user and also as a potentially as a developer or someone who wants to code. It allows me to be involved in a very proactive way, in a very engaged way that you can't do without that kind of self-involvement evolution component.
Yes, yes, that is about the what we are thinking about this. We are not the smartest guy. Frankly speaking, our team, we are not the smartest
Well,
guy.
you're pretty
So we want
smart.
to, thank you. But we really want to encourage all the other users, maybe normal user, maybe developer. They can contribute their idea to make blockchain better
Hmm.
in his way.
Hmm.
And we don't know whose way is right, but we can have a try. So we adopt the self-involving functionality
That's
named the
interesting.
Nebulas Force. Yeah, we want to do that. We want
That's
to provide a lot of opportunity for all
mhm.
the others. Yeah.
Well, let's extend that a bit more because I did read about that and it was fascinating that you enfranchise that interaction at that level of really intellectual input. But we also want to talk about cross contracts as well because that's something that comes up in yours, and that's again that's building out that framework. So upgrades in the cross contract system, state variables that are involved, bottom layers of storage on the smart contract. Let's talk about those key features as well. Why is that good, and why is it beneficial for Nebulas?
For Nebulas.
Mm,
Yeah, about
because
yeah.
again, it's developing those layers of upgrade at the cross-contractual level, at the base layer of storage for smart contracts.
Yeah.
The way in which you do that is fascinating. It's very
Mhm.
technical in your white paper, but I
Yeah.
tried to keep up.
Yes. So that way, I think that keep consistent with our vision. With our vision, we want to make this world have a much faster liquidity. Not
Hmm.
only just the transaction, but also about the data about the smart contract. So that's why we are providing such functionality about the cross cross smart contract storage.
Hmm.
We want use that functionality to make other smart contract can easily access the data inside some old contracts, or maybe they can find more values on that.
Right.
Make the effort
Hmm.
of smart contract interoperation to a newer place to
Okay.
reduce the cost.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, also in that respect, I've been talking about the Nebulas rank. If we want to go into the measurement of value, so in terms of the devotion to the ecosystem and the bookkeeping component, one of the things that comes up a lot is you're about equality. We talk about fairness, but let's connect that with the penalty system. You were mentioning that before, so. How does the bookkeeping work? How does the penalty system work in relation to Nebulas rank? In relation to the POD.
Yes. So we have a theory about the bookkeeper. If 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 someone did some good contribution to the labelers, he definitely want to try to protect his data, his value, and so he has a higher labels rank. And I think he has a much more motivation to protect this network and make this network more stable and safe.
Okay.
So that's the first principle about this consensus. We want to use labels rank to filter those guys to help us to protect this network, make sure it's more stable.
Right. So
Yeah.
again, if it's okay, I love talking about the tech, but if we can relate that back to the real world, if because all the infrastructure you're talking about, what it does is it provides for, I guess, the theoretical underpinnings for a real world object or a real world design, a software even. So if I wanted to actualize my theoretical skills and see them on a screen, am I going to see some sort of system that I can utilize so that through whether it be a software, what is Nebulas going to look like for the real person in the real world? Is it going to be, because obviously we want to make sure we move away from the search engine concept. What is Nebulas to the lay person when it's functioning in the real world? Because social media is a huge part of that, you know, as you said. But in terms of the tech, is it going to be something that people upload on their screens and utilize that way? Because how is it going to look like for the person? Because they're not going to see the tech underneath. So I'm trying to connect that deep, very robust tech with something.
Yeah, maybe there's two kind of audience. Yeah, for normal user, we want to let them know it's about the search. Yeah, just like a Google in blockchain. Yeah, you can search all the data in the blockchain. You can search and find the most valuable information, most valuable decentralized apps. So that's the one part. But also for the developers, we want to bring our levels rank and the levels force functionality, and all is about the incentive. Where yes, we want to make developer can write. We want to provide our better and more user-friendly tools to help developer and the users to bring their idea to the blockchains, to dive into blockchain. So that's the next part. And also we are trying to use the incentive protocol. Yeah, the basic fundamental mechanism to encourage them to do more for the Nebulas, not only for the Nebulas, but also for the blockchains.
I
so
see.
That's the second. Yeah.
And that's really clear because, I mean, obviously we've been talking about that with the various components of the ideologies. But just in terms of the interface itself, when we're talking about Nebulas, so people are really clear on what Nebulas is, because we're talking about the bedrock below it, the foundational material, which is the technical stuff. But on face value, the interface itself, is it going to be some sort of, you know, screen-based, you know, software where people actually can, you know, you just like they see with Google. I need to be clear. Is it something that they're going to interact at that level, and not have to necessarily know the tech, but those who want to engage in the tech underneath, they can do so? Is it something really simple, simplistic to use? Is Nebulas easy to use?
Yes, yes. And also for the developers, especially for the web developer, since in testnet we support JavaScript language as a smart contract language. That means web developers can write smart contracts. Yeah, so that user and the developer, web developer, they can use JavaScript to interact with Nebulas and deploy their smart contract, the core smart contract, just in browser, just in one page to reduce the learning curve.
Wow.
Yeah.
So there's a lot happening in terms of development, essentially, and developers. Have you found there's much engagement with the communities, the devs of the world who are interested in Nebulas? Are they already connecting, trying to?
Yeah, we are. Yes, we are collecting. Yeah, we are collecting. Since we are too busy in the last few days,
but it's a good sign. That's a good sign.
Yeah. We are working. Yes, we are working on that, and I hope and I wish Brad or maybe the guys in the screen.
Yeah.
If you are interested in Nebulas, and welcome to join us. Welcome to make your contribution.
You heard it from the co-founder, guys. If you're interested in development, this is the co-founder telling you that there's access in that direction. So that's exciting. Again, you're very much at the forefront. You're at the beginning of your evolution as a blockchain. So it's going to become a very much a community project, a community-driven thing that you're advocating, get involved in, and take part in. So if we look now at some of the things going on with Ethereum, I'm fascinated by Nebulas because it's very clear that you're pro-working with Ethereum, right down to the technical white paper itself. So can we talk about specifically the technical aspects of your plan to integrate with Ethereum? You talked about it before. How are you specifically aiming to do that so that it's mutually beneficial? It supports both, because Hitters was talking about this before as well. But at a technical level, it's talking about smart contract compatibility. Can you tell us a bit more about that? Between Ethereum, yes, particularly Ethereum and Nebulas.
Yes. So since Nebulas is an open source project, and our mission is not just to build Nebulas only. Nebulas for us is just an approach to do that. So in that way, we will open all our technology, our tech to other blockchain systems. Yeah, as I just said to you about we will submit some Ethereum improvement proposal to the Ethereum community. Yeah, for example, for the Nebulas rank, for the Nebulas force, for the DIP, for the upgradability. We definitely will do that. We definitely will do that. We want not only those kind of new feature, new functionality, just only exist in Nebulas. We want to other blockchain system can use that too.
But Robin, sorry to interrupt, but Robin, why would they do that? Why would they do that? What's the benefit for Ethereum to say, yes, sure, we'll do that?
We believe those functionality about the Nebulas rank, about the Nebulas force, about self-involvement, they are very valuable. They are valuable. Nebulas is just the first step to implement it. We definitely will see the values from those components. So at then we will definitely contribute those ideas, those technical to the other blockchains.
Okay.
Even if they reject us.
So just to make it clear as well, because this is something I think is important for the world to know, you're hoping to almost plant a seed in these other blockchains to provide some sort of ranking system, to provide some sort of socially established system that doesn't exist in these blockchains. So you're trying to plant seeds in multiple different spaces around to make it interoperate for ranking. Is that right?
Not only just integrated for the ranking, not only just for Nebulas, not only for the Nebulas rank. We want to use that functionality. We want to use that functionality to proceed to the other blockchains, to make other blockchain have a much powerful and stable technology to embrace more and more people. For example, for the DIP, we definitely will try to our best to prove the DIP and submit our proposal to Ethereum or maybe Bitcoin. We want that his community will grow faster.
Yep.
So yeah, from our perspective view, if Ethereum has a better user base and we Nebulas definitely can share from them, or we Nebulas have a better user base, is the other blockchain system definitely will share from us.
Right.
So well, we want to, yeah.
In that respect, let's pull it back to the real world for a moment. How has the response been so far?
Yeah, so far we are very busy in developing our own system.
Right.
So we are planning to do that, but right now we are focused on the testnet and the mainnet. And I can promise, after the mainnet is launched, we will definitely do that, contribute those ideas to the other.
Well, we're definitely going to be looking forward to hearing more about that as well. Let's move across, I suppose. Now, we talked about some of the key issues of the problems you addressed, the ranking system in detail. So let's talk about in your white paper, you talk about 3 dimensions with the ranking system. You talk about liquidity, propagation, interoperability. You've talked already about liquidity and interoperability, but not propagation enough. Let's unpack that. What does propagation mean? What in relation to score and asset liquidity? What's that about?
Yeah. About the propagation. So to improve the liquidation, there's 2 kinds. There's 2 ways. The one is the user have much more transaction, send much more transaction to others. That's one way. But there's another way. It's about involving more and more people to use the system, and you distribute your own token or maybe some data to them, and they will do something like that. They will spread to the other guys. They will improve the liquidity. Okay. So that's the reason we think propagation is very important, just like what we are doing in the Facebook, the social network.
Right. Okay. And that's interesting because, again, you can liken that to some of those centralized models. Inside the ranker user system as well, there's a lot of discussion about trust and access to the data. So, can you just elaborate a bit more on that in relation to rank in terms of how you house data? How is data situated in the overall design of the Nebulas ranks? Because it's mentioned in there specifically about the trust and access.
Yes. So for the trust, so there is a minimal requirement. All the data should be in blockchain. All the data source for the Nebulas rank should be in the blockchain. So that keeps the data is real and consistent. No one can revert them. So that's the first principle. And second is about the algorithm itself. We have a trusted source, and then we have a trusted open sourced algorithm. So that makes all the results are trusted also. Yeah, so that's the way we are building our Nebulas rank.
So Robin, the next I want to talk to you about is three major components of the Nebulas rank that we haven't talked about, and that is truthful, computable, deterministic. Big words, but they're really important for very complicated things in your white paper when it comes to things like transactional graphing and looking at how nodes mapped through entities. Can you tell us a bit more about those components? Truthful, computable, deterministic.
Yeah. So
in a simple way.
Yeah, simple way. Okay, that's a big challenge.
Yeah.
Yes, a big challenge. Yeah. So as we know, for our ranking system, the first is about the trusted source. Yeah. So we are using only data exists in blockchain, not only data in blockchain. Yeah, we can use the data in Nebulas, or we can use the data in Ethereum or Bitcoin. Yeah, so we should definitely use the trusted source. That's about the trust. And second is about the verification. Yeah, so to achieve that, the algorithm should also be open and open source and public too. So that makes everyone who can verify those ranking score independently to make sure the result is the same and consist.
Okay, so it's consistent.
So it consists. Yeah, existent. Yeah, and the third about the deterministic is about we can make sure all the data in the data source is trusted. The result is verifiable, and also we want to make sure that all the data or the ranking result will definitely also store in the blockchain as well. So that makes the algorithm result should be shared to any other smart contract and should be keep the data be consistent in our Nebulas system, in our blockchain system. So that's the three very important part.
Okay, so just to bring it down a little bit for a moment, because it's such heavy tech, is that how as you created this, how long has it taken you to develop and think through these complex processes? Because honestly, the white paper is very long. It's well over 30 pages long. Actually, it's more. It's quite a lot. And I'm just fascinated by it. How long did it take you to essentially plan out the basis of Nebulas technically?
Technically, it spent us months.
So, Robin, the thing I want to ask you next is about the manipulation or the resistance of, in the white paper specifically, it talks about manipulation resistance. It talks about things like how you can avoid tampering of the data, and you do that through mitigating that manipulation in some way. How is Nebulas doing that specifically? Because once again, you were talking about before with trustfulness.
Yeah. So that's all about the trust sources. Yeah, you're right. That's all about the trust sources. So in blockchain, there's no cost to create our address. Address is no cost. So that means users can create hundreds or maybe thousands of addresses at one time. So that makes the cost of a transaction is very low. You just pay for the transaction fee. Yeah, so that means the bad guys, they can create a lot of transactions in this whole community, in this whole blockchain. So that will not the algorithm of Nebulas rank lead out to our some bad sense. Something like that.
You circumvent the bad guys by having this particular trustfulness component, so you protect the interests of the user.
Yeah, so we are using some methodology to prevent that. At first, it's about the transaction graph. Yeah, so we just organize all the data in our small timestamp. For example, just 1 month. We use all the nearest 1 month data, and then we generate this whole transaction graph, and we filter out all the transaction. It's not like normal transaction. Yeah, to make sure the remain transaction are also valid and real transaction. So that's one part. Yeah, and another part is about the punishment algorithm. Yeah, so we have some punishment factor algorithm to punish the transaction. Looks like not our real transaction. We use that to make sure the Nebulas rank provide a fair ranking result. And frankly speaking, this is a big challenge for us. Yeah, the PageRank algorithm of Google is closed sourced. Okay. They just bring the core idea to public as our paper.
So
but for the implementation,
you're going to flip that around into open source.
Yeah, definitely. The Nebulas rank algorithm definitely should be open source to make sure the result is verifiable.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah, definitely. So compared with the Google PageRank, they are closed sourced. But for the Nebulas rank, it's open sourced. So that's really a big challenge for us to how to prevent the attack.
So Robin, one of the things I really want to talk about, it's one of my favorite topics, is the virtual machines. Every really good blockchain has a very robust virtual machine, so it's a serious topic. In relation to Nebulas Force, you have an NVM, but you also are modeling on the LLVM as well. You're utilizing some kind of, so can you talk to us a bit about the relationships between LLVM, what a VM is, perhaps for people who don't know, and how the Nebulas virtual machine relates to that? A lot. Okay. I know there's a lot, but let's unpack it.
Okay, let me make it simple. Okay. So generally speaking, Nebulas VM is built on top of LLVM. Yeah, Nebulas VM is built on top of LLVM. Yeah. So in Nebulas VM, we bring all the blockchain functionality to the LLVM to expose the API to the LLVM. So that makes developer and the users can write smart contract, write protocol by using their own language. For example, C, C++, or maybe Python, or maybe Ruby.
Okay.
So that's our think about that. We want to reduce the learning curve of all the developers. Whoever knows how to programming, they can find their own way to write a smart contract or maybe protocol code. We want to do that. And by the way, for the LLVM is a very good project. So LLVM supports multiple platforms. For example,
Apple,
Apple, Intel, ARM,
Google.
MISC, something like that. Google, they're supported by all the main platform. They're supported. So we want to use.
Sorry to interrupt, but I want to really pull that out for a moment and extract that and discuss that, extrapolate it rather. Because when we're talking about the LLVM, that's really important because not many blockchains are talking about that. They're talking about their own codes, like Solidity, for example, or they're talking about C++ and Java, but they're not talking about things that Google are using. They're not talking about things that Apple are using. But Nebulas is. And these companies are massive. And that's why I want to stop and talk about that a bit more. Why did you go down the route of LLVM, and why did you explore that? What was the reasoning and the rationale behind that?
Okay. Frankly speaking, I used the LLVM years before. I used that. I write the IR code. I try to build my own language on top of the LLVM. So I did that. So I know that. And the truly reason about the NVM, about the LLVM, is we really want to reduce the learning curve for the developer who are interested in blockchain. We want to reduce that. We do not want to provide a new language to make users to learn. We just want users can use their own experience, their own knowledge to bring those information, those experiences to dive into blockchain, to make this blockchain world grows faster and safer. So we want to do that. So that's the true reason why we adopt LLVM.
Right. And there's one thing I want to ask. Sorry, but I want to ask you this because I was speaking about this with another CEO recently, and it is quite relevant. Are you going to be open in your architecture to very innovative projects that come on board with things like AI? And the reason why I ask you that is because that is a new wave, a new level of information that's going to inject into blockchain. Are you aware of that potential and that potentially interconnected relationship?
Actually, we have some. Actually, for this kind of cooperation about AI and the data, we have some internal discussion about that. And for the discussion result, we are so excited about this. Blockchain provide a perfect space to store data, keep the data consistent. And the AI, they can use those data, consume that data to provide much more functionality to human life. So we think in future, blockchain and AI, but definitely will work together.
Right, and you know what I think? I think you have some ideas of companies as well. I do think that you have some very clear ideas of AI companies, perhaps, that you might be talking to. I don't know, but I'm supposing that because AI it seems to fit very well with Nebulas in the way that you're designed, and I'd imagine you're certainly discussing that with certain companies now at the very least. But that's just my guess. That's my guess. Let's go back to the LLVM as well because it is really important. There's some keywords that come up in your white paper, and they say things like it's highly modularized. It's a compiler for tool chains, and it's for tech that uses as code. Why is that? Why is this modularized nature important as a compiler? Why is the LVM itself important as a functionality?
So to achieve the self-involvement, we definitely should provide a fully functional execution environment. There's no limitation. There's no limitation. So that's why we are using LVM. LVM is highly modularized. They support multiple language, and they can create code, executable code, native code at the runtime at the target. So it provides multiple language support, it provides high performance, and also they are easy to use to integrate to existing software. So that's why we are choosing LVM to provide those functionality, to make sure you or maybe others, you have idea about, for example, the ZKP, you can write the product code by using your favorite language, maybe JavaScript, maybe Python, or maybe C++. You can use that. And and then you can just adopt those code and run the code on the NVM to reduce the learning curve, to make this sense goes faster and change more faster.
Exactly. And you know, talking all of this tech, obviously it's quite a lot, but what's really the key message is that if you get really good quality tech and you unpack it and we can discuss it like this, the key message is that the product is the best quality and it's the most simple. And that's the irony, is in the end, the usability is going to be really accessible and far-reaching for Nebulas because you're doing all the hard yards now, you're doing all the homework, and you're doing the best quality technological underpinnings. So in that respect, what you're aiming for is for someone to be able to go in and have a DApp, be involved in the process of writing a DApp, writing some sort of code to be able to inject protocol, thank you, to inject into or contribute to the ecosystem. You're looking for that to be easy, and the only way that can be done is by having all these different ideologies built in properly from the outset. Because you're doing that, and you're adding things like upgrading, it's just exciting because it means that people can get involved very quickly. They can get involved now. In the roadmap, let's talk about that. When is the plan for when do you see more and more people getting involved? Like, how quickly can that happen?
After we launch Testnet, so more and more people will get to know about us. They can evaluate all the functions. So I think that's the beginning. More and more people pay attention on us, want to contribute their ideas. As a software engineer, I always an engineer of the software. So I believe that if we can provide our user-friendly tools to the user and the developer, they will feel that they will use that tool to write more codes, to do more sense on that. So we are focused on usability.
Right.
We are focused on the usability.
If you have such a broad access, though, for such a vast, essentially the entire globe is going to can access Nebulas once it opens up. How do you ensure and how do you protect against poor quality work and poor quality submissions? How do you make sure there's the best quality for Nebulas?
For the best quality for Nebulas, I think we need help from community. We need help from community. Our team, we are not the God. We can't do everything. We need the community helping us on that. Review our code, find the bugs, and help us fix bugs. That's a community way. We want to do that. Besides that, we will find some security company to do code audit before mainnet launch. To make sure the quality. And as the last, I want to mention is about the Nebulas VM, about the product code, about the self-involvement. So in our truly world, if your code is higher quality and you have much longer life in this holy ecosystem. So the bad, low quality product will be dying faster, and you have a higher quality, you will survive.
Yep.
So in this Nebulas, in the blockchain, same thing will happen. So what we are doing is trying to do our best. And the second is we provide such functionality by using the Nebulas Force to encourage more and more user and developer to write high quality smart contract or protocols. Yeah, so we are using that way.
I think that's the best encapsulate, because let's just make this really clear for everyone now. You are not just a Google, you're not akin to a Google. You have 5 really key cornerstone components that are going to build out the framework. You're doing that because you want to attract the best quality. You've got all these components inside to build out a very robust structure that provides for a multitude of applications. It's going to be community driven, and you're going to be one of the leaders of that, perhaps from the technical standpoint. But certainly you're advocating not to be the controller of that design, but be part of a community yourself. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, be part of the community. Yeah, Nebulas is not our team. Nebulas is for the community. Yeah, Nebulas is for the blockchains. Yeah, we just trying to use our passion, our effort to do something better, to improve that. Yeah, to provide a better blockchain system, to provide a better opportunity. Yeah,
it's really clear, and obviously the technical components have been challenging today, but I really appreciate your time, Robin. It's not easy to talk about the tech and trying to make it real well, but I think it's pretty clear to me, truly, having had the privilege of listening to you, that underneath all of this, you're building out a very vast network. Yeah, that's the plan, and the only way you can do that is engage the community. They have to be involved. They have to find out once you're released that you're going to have access to a platform, and then don't be afraid. Get out there and get involved with Nebulas, because the more people do, the more robust it becomes, the more real world it becomes.
Yes.
So Robin, thank you so much for your time. I really do appreciate it. I've done my very best to represent the technical components, but I'm sure we'll talk again.
Okay. Thank you, Brad.
Oh, it was really fun.
Thank you.